you are a human baby. And by every honest survival standard, you are in serious trouble. You cannot walk, talk, feed yourself, escape danger, or understand the predators watching nearby. You weigh only a few kilograms, yet your entire future depends completely on other people. And somehow, against cold, hunger, sickness, predators, and darkness, your ancestors kept babies alive. Not once, not twice, but across thousands of generations before hospitals, vaccines, and clean water. That means every person alive today exists because an ancient chain of care never fully broke. If even one direct ancestor had failed as an infant, you would not be here right now. So the story of ancient babies is not distant history. It is your personal origin story. And the surprising answer is not that ancient parents were simply stronger than modern parents. The answer is that ancient humans built one of the most powerful survival systems on Earth. That system was not a weapon, a cave, a spear, or even fire by itself. It was community, the living network of hands, voices, bodies, memories, and responsibilities surrounding every child. To understand why this mattered, we must begin with one strange fact about human babies. Compared with other animals, human babies are born shockingly helpless, almost unfinished by natural standards. A baby horse can stand within hours, and a baby giraffe can walk very quickly. A chimpanzee infant can cling to its mother almost immediately after entering the world. But a human newborn can barely hold its head, regulate temperature, or move towards safety. This helplessness is not an accident. It is the price our species paid for huge brains. Human brains became so large that a more developed baby could not safely pass through birth. So, evolution solved the problem brutally. Human babies are born earlier, softer, weaker, and more dependent. At birth, a human brain is only about 1/4 of its adult size. Much development that other animals finish inside the womb happens outside for human babies. That means human infancy is not just a family challenge. It is a species-level problem. A human baby cannot survive alone, not for a week, not for a day, not really. So, ancient childcare was never only about one mother doing everything by herself in isolation. It was about a group arranging itself around fragile life, because the group's future depended on it. This is where the famous phrase becomes literal. It truly took a village to raise children. In hunter-gatherer communities, childcare was shared among mothers, fathers, grandmothers, siblings, and trusted adults. Not as a pleasant favor, but as serious survival engineering built into daily life. A baby might be carried by one person, watched by another, and comforted by someone else. The child did not belong to isolation. The child belonged inside a web of attention. Grandmothers may have been especially important, and science has a theory explaining why this matters. It is called the grandmother hypothesis, and it argues that older women helped grandchildren survive. Human menopause is unusual because women often live decades after their reproductive years have ended. One explanation is that grandmothers became so valuable that evolution favored their survival and knowledge. An experienced grandmother knew food, illness, danger, birth, grief, plants, seasons, and infant behavior. She could hold a child, guide a mother, recognize trouble, and remember what worked before. In many societies, a grandmother's presence can greatly improve a child's chances of surviving early childhood. That means age was not weakness. Age was living memory protecting the next generation. Fathers also mattered more than many modern stereotypes suggest, especially in cooperative hunter-gatherer societies. Among some foraging groups, fathers stay physically close to infants for remarkable portions of the day. They carry, protect, comfort, play, and provide, not as visitors, but as constant participants. Ancient children grew up surrounded by many faces, many voices, and many possible rescuers. That dense social net made accidents less deadly and gave exhausted caregivers room to recover. Now think about feeding, because a baby cannot wait politely while adults solve survival problems. For most of human history, breastfeeding lasted far longer than many modern people assume. 2, 3, or even 4 years of nursing was common in traditional human societies. This long breastfeeding provided nutrition, comfort, immune protection, and helped naturally space births apart. Birth spacing mattered because one mother could not safely carry too many helpless children at once. If babies arrived too close together, the survival pressure on the mother and group increased sharply. Frequent nursing slowed fertility, giving each child more time to grow before another arrived. But even nursing was not only one mother's burden in many ancient communities. Wet nursing, when another woman feeds a child, appears to be very ancient and widespread. If a mother was sick, absent, exhausted, or dead, another woman's milk could save life. This is one of the clearest examples of survival depending on community rather than individual strength. Food also became creative once a child needed more than milk to keep growing. Ancient babies did not receive neat little jars of pureed vegetables from a store shelf. They received whatever the group had, softened, mashed, chewed, cooked, shared, and carefully offered. Adults often pre-chewed tough foods before passing them to infants, which sounds strange to modern ears. But before blenders, spoons, and baby food factories, this was a practical solution. Soft marrow from cracked bones, mashed roots, eggs, fish, and tender meat could all help. A child survived not because food was abundant, but because adults transformed difficult food into possible food. Carrying babies was another essential technology, though we rarely think of it that way. A hunter-gatherer mother needed to walk, gather, work, travel, and stay alert every day. Putting a newborn down in the open was dangerous because cold, predators, insects, and accidents existed. So ancient humans kept babies close, against warm bodies, inside slings, skins, arms, and wraps. Human infants seem built for this closeness, with grasping reflexes and a hunger for contact. Modern research shows skin-to-skin contact helps regulate breathing, temperature, heart rate, and stress. For ancient people, this was not a parenting trend. It was how babies stayed alive. A carried baby stayed warmer, calmer, quieter, safer, and easier to feed on demand. Crying was not simply annoying. In the wild, crying could reveal a group to predators. So meeting a baby's need for closeness also protected everyone else around the camp. Sleep looked very different too, because ancient babies almost certainly did not sleep alone. Across most traditional societies, infants sleep near or against caregivers, surrounded by breathing human bodies. This helped warmth, nursing, protection, and responsiveness during long nights filled with possible danger. A separate nursery is a very recent invention in the long history of our species. For ancient humans, night was not private. Night was shared, guarded, listened to, and survived together. The same closeness that comforted babies also taught them rhythm, voices, smells, safety, and belonging. Of course, many children still died, and we should not romanticize the ancient world. Infant mortality was painfully high before antibiotics, vaccines, clean water, surgery, and modern medicine existed. Many communities likely lost a large percentage of children before they reached 5 years old. But high mortality does not mean ancient people did not care, love, or grieve deeply. Archaeological burials of children show careful placement, grave goods, flowers, ornaments, and emotional attention. Those burials tell us the loss of a child mattered, even in harsh worlds. Ancient parents were not indifferent. They were fighting with limited tools against enormous danger. They used medicinal plants, observation, ritual, touch, warmth, nursing, and community memory to protect children. Some remedies were ineffective, some were symbolic, and some probably had real medicinal value. Honey, plants, bark, herbs, and careful wound care appear again and again in human history. Rituals around birth and childhood also mattered, even when they look strange to modern observers. They gathered people around the child and publicly reminded everyone that this new life mattered. A naming ritual, blessing, charm, or ceremony could strengthen social responsibility around fragile human life. In practical terms, ritual turned a private baby into a recognized member of the group. And once the group recognized the child, more people had reason to protect that child. The deeper twist is that ancient humans may have understood something modern society often forgets. Keeping children alive is not just a medical problem, it is a social problem too. Modern medicine has saved millions of children, and that achievement is one of humanity's greatest victories. Vaccines, antibiotics, clean water, surgery, and nutrition have changed childhood survival beyond ancient imagination. But while we improved medicine, many societies weakened the social web around parents and children. Extended families scattered, neighbors became strangers, and exhausted parents were left alone with impossible expectations. Ancient people had fewer tools, but they often had more shared responsibility around caregiving. Modern parents often have more technology, but far less practical support in ordinary daily life. That difference helps explain why many caregivers feel lonely, burned out, and overwhelmed today. The ancient solution was never perfect, and it certainly did not prevent terrible losses. But its central principle remains powerful. No child should depend on one exhausted adult alone. Ancient humans kept babies alive by sharing milk, warmth, food, knowledge, protection, grief, and hope. They carried children constantly, slept close, fed them patiently, and surrounded them with watchful adults. They learned from failure, remembered what worked, and passed survival knowledge across generations by story. They turned love into structure, and structure into the survival of the entire species. So when you look at a helpless human baby, you are looking at an evolutionary miracle. Not because the baby is strong, but because the people around the baby can become strong together. That is the secret hidden inside our survival story, from ancient camps to modern homes. Humans did not conquer childhood fragility by becoming independent. We survived by becoming deeply connected. We had no hospitals, no formula factories, no pediatric clinics, and no emergency phone numbers. What we had was each other, and for hundreds of thousands of years, that mattered enormously. Every laugh, lullaby, carried child, shared meal, and watchful grandmother belonged to that survival chain. And because that chain held long enough, you are here listening to this story now.